We'll go ahead with your questions.
Sean, there didn't seem to be a lot of secret to what New England was going to do offensively in terms of running the ball with the weather. To be able to, or to have the defense give up 220-plus yards against the, against the run, how disappointing is that, and what are the reasons for it?
Yeah, I mean, I think they handed it off 45 times. The biggest one was the big run, a 64-yard run, I believe it was, off the toss, and that can't happen. That's a big play, whether you throw it or run it, and so listen, when you run the ball 45 times, you're going to make some yards here and there and things like that. I think if you take that one run out, then you help the average a little bit, but at the end of the day, you can't give up a 64-yarder. That really skews the numbers there. So we knew that coming in, that was their plan, and then you add the weather on top of it, and then you got to score points to get them out of that too, right? We're in the red zone 4 times. We're 1 for 4 in the red zone. Average starting field position was basically the 40-yard line for us compared to the 23-yard line for them. I mean, then you turn the ball over, right? So sloppy football.
You've talked at times this season about your team's level of physical play, especially after losses. Where do you feel like it is now 12 games through the season?
Yeah, not good enough. We got to be able to run the football, and we got to be able to stop the run. And those things don't change. The message hasn't changed in terms of physicality and the necessity for physicality and what we do. That's why we start training camp the way we do, with running the football, and you got to win the line of scrimmage. And their backs average, I think, 5 point whatever, and our backs average 3 point, 3.1 or whatever. So it's not good enough.
Sean, what's the temperature in the room right now inside that line?
Yeah, guys are frustrated. I'm frustrated, but we got to find a way to move on here quickly and on this short week and head down to Tampa.
John, you highlighted that 64-yarder. What happened?
Yeah, it was a toss play, so usually that starts with setting an edge. You got to set the edge, and then you got to have pursuit on the, up and in on the backside, and then they came back and ran the very same play the next play with a change in personnel grouping and with the same player, N'Keal Harry, on the crack there. So for the 2-point conversion. So listen, I thought there were moments, right, where our defense did some good things. I think we had 3 or 4 or 4. I think it was 4 3-and-outs, but we had opportunities. However you want to spin it, we had opportunities to win the game. When you're down the red zone 4 times and you're 1 for 4, and your average starting field position is basically your 40, that's an issue.
John, you mentioned the red zone twice now. Was there something particular happening on those 3 other drives, or what was going on?
We went backwards, right? Then you're trying to kick a field goal, and we had the 1st and goal at the 6-yard line, and we ended up going backwards. So.
John, each time you've had a bad loss, you've found a way to bounce back. But it's 12 games into the season, and it keeps getting back to this. Are you concerned that after 12 games, this is what your team is, and something needs to change?
Yeah, that's real. We are what our record says we are, as they say.
Again, at the 50-yard line, you are trespassing. Get off the field. Attention, get off the field.
Yeah, I mean, we've been inconsistent, and get opportunities to win the game.
Security is on its way.
Opportunities,
Get off the field.
opportunities to win the game, and again, you go back and you look at it from a stats standpoint, and you say, hey, do we have opportunities to win the game? You're darn right we did. You're darn right we did. And so why not? Right? Why not? And you go back and try and solve that. But we got to do some better things on defense. Obviously, in that run defense, and there's no reason a run should go for 64 yards. I can see, hey, you hand it off 45 times, whatever it is, you get occasionally you're going to hit an 8-yarder or a 10-yard. That's going to happen. This is the NFL, right? But 64 yards, no way.
You ever coached a game, Sean, where a team was so one-dimensional by design like that?
No, I mean probably the snow game that we had against the Colts in 2017. But I mean that's the way they've played up to this game. That's been their formula: run, don't make a mistake, play good defense, play good special teams. Eventually they'll take the ball away. And then when you add the weather on top of that, again, it wasn't it wasn't a surprise. I can promise you that. It wasn't a surprise. And, you know, just you got to do a better job in the run defense, and then you got to score more points. That's the name of the game, scoring points.
What was the decision, what was the thought process on challenging that fourth down play?
Yeah, I just thought, you know, it's always tough, believe me, I know winning those scrum plays, it's tough for them to see. I just thought it was a pivotal moment in the game. If we could have gotten the ball back there on fourth down, and, you know, from my vantage point, it looked like he was stopped. So, you know, I had 3 timeouts at the time. Thought I could, hey, use one and try and see if we could get the ball right there, and we would have been going with the wind as well. So I wanted to get the ball back as soon as I could, not let them run time off the clock. Obviously, that was part of their plan, and we knew that from the first series, right? They run the ball on 3rd and 5, whatever it was.
Sean, did you consider going for 2 after your first touchdown the next day or 2 after?
I did, yeah. I mean, we talked about it in pregame. You know, going the direction that they scored the first time when they scored the touchdown. You know, we were seriously considering going for 2 there, so I can see why Bill did that. Obviously, kicking the other direction, it was a little better, a lot better actually. And their kicker made a couple that way, I think, from further out as well. So, and then had we scored at the end there, decision again: do you try an extra point there or go for 2 just based on the weather? You know, so. And that's, again, we were down that red zone. I think it was that red zone in particular than the score we had at the other side after the fumbled punt. And, I mean, just kicking field goals into that end zone is tough because of the wind. So,
Sean, you talked about getting pushed back in the red zone. Mitch mentioned the inopportune time shooting themselves in the foot. Where do you see the inconsistencies of the lack of execution at those points?
just sloppy football. I mean, you name it. Pre-snap penalty. Just no rhythm really down there.
Your thoughts on the way that Josh performed tonight? He had some really good zip on the ball. It looked like even at times it was difficult for the receivers to hang on to it.
Yeah. I mean, overall, listen, when you lose, I'm not going to single out a guy, good, bad. I mean, at the end of the day, it's a team deal here, and like always, there's some plays he wants back, and I thought there were some opportunities on the ball, and we dropped it. You know, so whether it's third down conversion, the first third down conversion of the game, I think it was for us. We had a crossing route opportunity right there, and so but it's never just one guy. It's all of us.
Sean, the lack of a running game has been a consistent theme that we've talked about for the entire year. At this point, 12 games in, is it fixable?
We're going to try our darndest to fix it. It's tough, Joe. I'm not going to sit up here and lie to you guys. I mean, to fix that part of a game, of your game, this part of the year is tough. You know, that's why we try like heck to do it in training camp. That's where you develop the toughness of the football team, and that's why we run the football in training camp.
Do you worry that you built a team that's not built to win this time of year in these types of conditions?
That has not been my message from day one. I can promise you that. That has not been my message. My message, if you were in the team meetings and training camp, you would know what style of offense I want and what style of defense I want, what style of football team I want. And that identity, and you guys have heard me talk about this before, that identity is shaped in training camp. And that identity needs to embody toughness.
You worry those messages are getting through?
I think it's gotten through, but we haven't executed. You're right, Matt, we haven't executed.
When you look at your losses, they follow a familiar script. You've lost the line of scrimmage, you've turned the ball over, you haven't converted in the red zone. When the same issues keep cropping up 12 games into the year, at kind of like Joe said, at what point do you worry that with this current group of personnel that you have, that maybe they're not fixable?
Well, you just keep doing your best to solve problems. That's what you do. You keep coaching, you work your ass off, players work their ass off, and we each got to do a better job, starting with me.
Sean, you mentioned how guys are frustrated, and obviously we can see that. How do you get them to channel that frustration and those emotions to move on and try to turn this around?
And that's what you got to do. We've got a short week, and we're going against another good football team down in Tampa, the defending world champs. So that's what you got to do. And you got to figure it out. That's what we have to do. We got to continue to try and figure this thing out as to why we're performing the way we are. And think I got a pretty good idea.
Read a few shots on the broadcast of you very visibly frustrated and animated. How would you just explain the psychological component of coaching against Bill Belichick, especially when he's doing something like that, just running the ball constantly?
Yeah, it's not. Let's not give more credit than we need to give credit to Bill Belichick in this one. It was, whether it's Bill or anybody else, they beat us, right? But you sit here and you tell me when we start with the average starting field position of the 40-yard line, and he starts with the 23-yard line, and I'm rounding up in both cases, and we were 1 for 4 in the red zone, and they were 0 for 1 in the red zone. You give me that ahead of time, I'm saying I like my chances. I like my chances. So it's not. I don't think, with all due respect, it's not a Bill Belichick type thing. It's what are you doing with the opportunities you got? What are you doing with the opportunities you got? We turned the ball over at the plus 30-some yard line. Sloppy football. Sloppy football. So I'm very comfortable in that situation.
You ever worry that the frustration you show on the sideline kind of bleeds into the players? And, you're talking about sloppy football, lack of composure. Do you ever worry that those two are linked at all?
No, I think they know what I stand for. I think they know me well enough to know that I live how I am day to day. I'm standing up for my team in those situations is what you're doing, or I'm trying to encourage or challenge my guys in a motivating way to get them to perform at a higher level, get us to coach at a higher level. That's what leaders do.
When the offense struggles like this, fingers want to be pointed. There's been frustration at times during the struggle with Brian Dable. Is he doing a good enough job to set this offense up for success?
Well, I didn't think, honestly, we took advantage of opportunities tonight. I really didn't. I mean, the ball's at the 40-yard line. We're 1 for 4 in the red zone. So we got to figure that part of it out.
Sean, Stephon had his hands, or his arm at least, on a ball in the end zone. Dawson looked like he had his hands on a couple of balls that he wasn't able to bring in. In a game like that, when it's going to be tough sledding offensively, don't these guys have to support Josh a little bit more?
Got to make plays.
The ball is on the money?
Yeah, we all do. Listen. That's like I said before. You got to coach better. You got to play better, right? And it's not just one person. It's all of us.
Is it all embarrassing to be the first team in more than 40 years to lose a game with the other team passing 3 times?
I get embarrassed, Jerry, every time we lose. I take it personally, and I expect our team to do the same.
Sean, what went into the decision to make both Marquez and Isaiah inactive? Was it just weather related?
Yeah, the same reason that they turned it over. Same reason that they turned it over on their punt return team. I wasn't willing to do that. So I want to put a guy back there that I trusted, that was going to make good decisions with the ball. So, Matt, go ahead. Good? All right, thanks, guys.